Many people ask, what is it like in Israel during war, especially this war that we're currently in that has been going on for over a year with thousands and thousands of rockets shot at our people in our country? Let me share a little bit about that with you. Shalom, my friends. This is the Kiva Gers with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. During wartime, things change drastically, as you would expect here in Israel. In terms of the reservist soldiers, thousands, tens of thousands, at the beginning, hundreds of thousands of people left their homes, left their jobs, left their families, their wives, and their kids to go fight on the front lines of this war. And while the number of reservist soldiers are less today, a year into this war, over a year into this war, there are still tens and tens and tens of thousands of soldiers who are on the front lines instead of being with their families, their wives, their kids, and at their jobs, their friends, their communities, their everyday regular lives. So that's obviously a very, very big difference in Israel during war. But there's many other differences that you see and that you experience during wartime here in Israel, especially this war that we're in right now, which has been going on for over a year now. You kind of have different reactions. Many people understandably are very tense, are very stressed, are filled with anxiety and worry, understandably. So that's why it's part of the culture that if you go to a store, a bank, a supermarket, whatever, and there's a worker there, and maybe they're not speaking to you so nicely, or maybe they're not responding to your needs, or maybe they're not giving you that classic, wonderful customer service that you would want or expect. The go-to reaction here in Israel during war is to understand maybe they have a brother, a sister, a father, a son who's in the war right now fighting on the front lines, and maybe they haven't heard from them in many days, right? So wherever you go, whatever's going on, if you're running into a situation like that where again somebody's maybe not responding to you or speaking to you in the kindest way or the way that you would ideally want them to take a moment to pause, to understand, to kind of expand your thoughts and your awareness, and maybe understand what they're possibly going through without asking them any questions, obviously. But as we say in Hebrew, "L'dan lechav zchut," to judge them favorably, especially during this time of war, because you never know, right? And oftentimes, with such a small country, not a very large population, chances are they do have a relative fighting in the war currently, and that is creating a very stressful situation for them, right? Parents this past year plus have barely been sleeping, right? Mostly their sons on the front lines, doing missions, involved with missions of who knows what, right? And oftentimes not hearing from them for many days, if not a week, if not more. Right? Maybe not seeing them, right? The wives not seeing husbands for weeks and weeks, sometimes even months on end. So there is a higher level of stress and anxiety, of course, naturally, but at the same time, there is this incredible coming together, right? There's a stronger unity in Israel always during wartime, this war specifically. Unbelievable, right? People forgetting their differences, their political differences, their religious divides, and really coming together as a nation in incredible and on some level unseen ways. And also kind of, letting those little, things that might have normally turned into arguments just fall to the side, maybe on the road or in stores or in the streets, whatever it might be, right? Realizing that we're one nation fighting one enemy, or in this case, many enemies, but with one mission, with one goal, right? To secure our safety and to defeat our enemies. And the incredible strength of the country that we've seen this past year has been really amazing and inspiring, right? Behind the soldiers, behind the army, right? Really coming together and knowing that what we're doing is we're fighting a war of righteousness and of justice because we're fighting such an evil enemy, right? No matter what the people around the world might say, both leaders and civilians alike, right? Another thing that we see here in Israel during a time of war is really understanding what it is this country is all about. Why we founded a country over 70 years ago in the first place. Why Zionism started about 120 years ago in the first place. Really understanding like the world wasn't a safe place for Jews for a very, very long time. It still isn't, unfortunately. Right? Today it's less safe than it has been in decades, right? Possibly since the Holocaust. And Israelis of all kinds, of all religious affiliations and political associations really realize that on a much, much deeper level during times of war, especially this war, right? what Israel is all about and why it is so important that we, the Jewish people, have our own Jewish state and our own Jewish ancestral homeland. So all of these ideas, all of these feelings, all of these experiences, all of these moments happen at an even stronger level during war here in Israel. And as you know, thousands of rockets have been shot at Israel, which means thousands of times Israelis, millions of them, have had to run for bomb shelters. And maybe they're in the streets, maybe they're in a park. And what happens often is if they can't make it to a bomb shelter, so they're just getting down on the ground where they are. But oftentimes they'll just run into a building, they run into a home, right? And seeking shelter. And that's also part of it, right? Of course, people are going to let them come into their house unannounced, unexpected, or their apartment and sit with them in their bomb shelter. I've heard many, many stories like this, right? Even though they don't know each other. Of course, we're all one people. We're all Jewish. We're all Israeli. We're going to take care of each other. So hard times during this time, higher levels of stress and anxiety for sure. With that needs to come a higher level of understanding, patience, and consideration, and at the same time, an incredible level of strength, unity, and coming together, right? Behind this one mission, behind this one goal. So it's a hard time and it's an inspiring time. It's a challenging time, and it's a very, very uniquely strong time here in Israel. And with that, may we defeat all of our enemies very, very soon. All the best and be well.